Hello again. This is Jay Ross, your rapping lawyer. I'm very pleased to say that we have a very special guest on the show with us at this time. My privilege to introduce a gentleman that is probably the best known poet and songwriter of the blues, certainly a father of rock and roll, a man I'm proud to call a friend, Mr. Willie Dixon.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today. Willie, you know, our show talks about aspects of law and show business, etc. And you've been at it for a long time. And as a matter of fact, I understand, although you don't like to admit it, today is your birthday, and I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And in any event, let's go back to some of those early days, etc. You started out in Mississippi. Is that right?
That's where I was born at, but as I'd say, starting out in the blues, you're born with the blues in certain parts of the world.
Uh-huh. And in those days, I understand they used to go around and advertise an event or something by going around with people performing in the back of a truck. Is that how?
Well, that's the way I first got involved into band music and like that, because people like Little Brother Montgomery and like that, I used to play hooky from school just to hear them playing and see them playing and follow them all over town, because they would be on the back of trucks and sometime on the back of a wagon bed with pianos and drums and megaphones and banjos and all like this, advertising the blues on the south side of other places. And I'd follow them all day, and when I get home, my mother found out I hadn't been to school. I get a whipping about it.
Well, the blues do, you have to pay your dues when you do the blues, right?
Well, they say that, and from the way the structure of the blues has been, ever since it's been called blues, everybody has paid their dues that's involved with the blues.
That's for sure. Well, but that was done essentially to publicize some type of a dance or an event that was coming up.
Definitely, that's what it was done for.
And as we progress into the more the record era, etc., when records were more prevalent, the record companies were the main type of publicity that a performer would use to get into the limelight. Is that right?
That's very much so. Because in the first place, at that particular time, the only way of advertisement was through recordings, and was through recordings and on the graphophone, because they didn't have no radio stations.
I see. Now, you were eventually employed by a record company, is that right?
Oh, I was employed by several recording companies.
And you were in different capacities like A&R and...
Yeah, I've done just about everything in the recording business it is to do in the recording business, but receive the money.
Well, let's talk about that, because that's what our listeners are interested. They want to make sure that they receive the money and hear from you what mistakes or what things that happened in your career that you've now, rectified by experience and wisdom and good management, etc. We will talk, if you will stay with us for the next week. What I'd like to do is next week is talk about some of the legal aspects of your early career, and what went on and the things you would correct now had you had the chance then. We're through with this little segment of the Rapping Lawyer Show. Please send your questions in to us, care of Z95. Any questions used, we'll get one of our T-shirts, and we thank you for listening. This is your Rapping Lawyer, Jay Ross, signing off. Thank you. again. This is your rapping lawyer, Jay Ross, and I'm back, and I'm pleased to tell you that I have with me again as my guest the most prolific songwriter, poet, performer, you name it, one of the real giants in the world of blues, Mr. Willie Dixon. Willie, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you.
Now, when we talked last week, we talked about some of the early days and your exposure to blues, etc., from Little Brother and some of the others who would go around trying to get publicity by performing live on the back of a truck, and how you eventually got involved with a record company in different capacities. In those days, Willie, with the record company, was it, could you come in with a lawyer to negotiate a contract?
No, in those days, law was, so far as law was concerned, especially towards us, it was out of the realm of reality, because at that particular time, especially in the South, you know, a lot of people, especially my people, didn't even know what a lawyer was, and if he had one, it didn't do him no good anyway.
In other words, there were so many blues performers that if you tried to, assert yourself, you would just be omitted. They'd go on to somebody else. Is that what you mean?
Well, yes, definitely they would. But the thing about it, so far as you getting a lawyer for any part of justice at that time, you could forget it.
I see. And when you were in the Chicago area, was it essentially the same thing?
Well, after I came to Chicago, then it was a little bit better, because we could record under certain circumstance, providing you took whatever they gave you and let that be enough, and that would give you a chance to have a few records to publicize, get a job with whenever you went to house parties or other places.
So in other words, what you're saying is there was no real negotiation.
Definitely.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. Say, for example, you or somebody else would record something, and it would become popular, it would become a hit, and you then came back and you wanted something more than what you got originally. I've heard horror stories about some blues players being handed keys to a Cadillac car, etc., with one payment being made on it, and that was it.
That was way years later. That was many years later. But years ago, when I first came in here, you was lucky to have a key to your door, I was talking about a key to a car when they was doing great progress whenever they got a chance to get a key to a car of any kind, because most of the musicians walked around with his guitar, banjo on his back, and go from house to house or tavern to tavern and go in and ask people to pass the hat for him.
I see. Well, then, so things have definitely improved.
Oh, yeah, they have definitely improved for as that's concerned.
As a matter of fact, I heard that you were just involved in some litigation recently, and which was settled successfully against one of the major rock groups.
Oh, yes, well, that's true.
That's great. Well, Willie, I can't let you go without asking you if you will, share with me some of the inside stories, some of the stories that happen relative to your involvement in the business. And so on our next show next week, we'll try and get into some of the stories of Willie. I especially want to talk about your early contact with this young rock group at the time known as the Rolling Stones, and their affection for you, etc. So I'm going to sign off at this time and thank our guest, Willie Dixon, who is going to join us again next week. And I'm Jay Ross. I'm your rapping lawyer, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Rapping lawyer, he's the one with a lot of clout. Rapping lawyer,
he's the one that can help you out.
Rapping lawyer, he's the one with a lot of clout. Rapping lawyer,
He's the one that can help you out.
rapping lawyer, he's the one with a lot of clout. Rapping lawyer,
He's the one that can help you out.
rapping lawyer, he's the one with a lot of clout.
Hello again. My name is Jay Ross, and I'm your rapping lawyer. And I'm proud to say that we have with us again a real giant in the music industry, one of my all-time favorites, Mr. Willie Dixon. Willie, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ross.
And Willie is taping with us today on his birthday, I want you to know. So that is a real act of friendship, I know, and I really appreciate it, Willie. What I wanted to talk about, we talked about some of the early history and of your involvement in show business and the difficulties involved. I want to talk about some of the more pleasurable times now, you know, the actual performing, the things that more fun than contracts and things like
Yeah,
that.
I understand.
Now, you were involved with a young rock group out of England who I think recorded your song "Little Red Rooster," the Rolling Stones. Isn't that right? Didn't they used to come back to visit you or something?
Oh, yeah, they came to visit me on a couple of occasions right here in Chicago.
Oh, is that right? Now, you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard one story, and you tell me if I'm wrong, where they wanted to come over and visit one time, and you said, no, you can't come over. You messed up the house the last time. I'll see you at the gig. Was that a true story?
No, that's not exactly the true story, but it was so many of them that came they couldn't get in my house anyway.
Oh, I see.
Because they were supposed to perform at the auditorium down here, and they came out to visit me, and they had about nine limousines of people, plus God knows how many, and I was living at the end of a street down there, and they filled up the whole street, so I couldn't let them in, so I had to bring them back over to a club where we could get together and communicate and have fun and talk. But that was one of the times, and then everywhere I meet them, we're very good friends, and I think it all happened because years ago, I went over there before they was actually performing very good, that group, and I gave them a lot of songs, and they have worked with them, and they came together with some of their first hit songs was my songs.
That's right. They very much acknowledged their being influenced by you,
Yeah,
in
thank
their
you.
career. You know, another gentleman that I think we must discuss in this short time that we have is Muddy Waters and your relationship and influence on Muddy. You know, I know that one of his best-known songs, Hoochie Coochie Man, is a song that you were involved in the writing of. And didn't you write that one?
Well, yes, I wrote that. See, Muddy and I go back a long way. Right after Muddy came here. In fact, I had heard about him in the South because he played a lot of house parties and things down there, and I had a group at that particular time after I came to Chicago called the Big Three Trio, and we used to go out and jam with him out on the South Side, and he always liked the songs that we played, and in these jam sessions he would always tell me I like this and I like that, and so I decided he decided he wanted him, and I decided I was going to let him do some of them, and found out that he could really do a beautiful job on them, and that's what we done. But at that particular time, Little Walter was playing in his band with him, and Jimmy Rogers. That was one of the first bands that Muddy had, you know. Of course, Muddy had been doing some recording before, but he had never had any what you call big hits. He had hits, but I think after I came along with him, then he started getting much more recognition. And that's been true with several people, and I've been real lucky about things like that because seemingly my type of songs has been able to reach the public pretty good.
Well, there's no question. I mean, we can talk about Stevie Ray Vaughan and Taj Mahal and Eric Clapton and Jeff Beck and Steve Winwood and Rod Stewart and Led Zeppelin and Dr. John and Howlin' Wolf and Cream, and I mean, you can just Oingo Boingo. You can name so many groups, all of them who are doing Willie Dixon songs as of this day and will continue to.
Well, yes, I hope so anyway.
Well, Willie, I see that our time is running out. I just want to again wish you many happy returns of the day, and thank you for joining us on on this day. And, gee, just tell you that I know that I speak for our listeners. We just love you. And
Thank
just
you,
keep up
thank
the good work.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I have no other alternative.
Good for you. This is your rapping lawyer, Jay Ross, signing off. Thanks.
We'll
Rappin' lawyer, he's the one with a lot of clout.